Greetings all, D&Disability here. I think in some circles it's become fashionable to bash on D&D. The recent Enter the Realm of the tabletop role-playing games community video that YouTube has put out on its channel has sparked some backlash. Many, including Dungeons&Discourse and Dungeon Craft, have called it a scandal. Certainly, this recent quote-unquote scandal with D&D certainly has me thinking about its place in academia. Not just its place as king of RPGs on YouTube. D&D certainly doesn't do everything right, but I don't think any singular system does. However, D&D does get all the fame, while the rest get shafted. In the realm of YouTube, D&D certainly reigns supreme, at least according to the Celebration of RPGs video, which is really more like just a celebration of D&D. Where the vast majority of RPG content creators there do solely D&D. Dungeons&Discourse certainly believes that we are stuck in this Foucauldian machine of discourse where D&D reigns supreme. We can't escape D&D because YouTube promotes it more than any other TTRPG, and therefore it becomes the most popular, so it gets promoted further. For the full critique, see their video. It's really good. However, this discourse sparked something in my mind. Is the focus of D&D a detriment to the TTRPG study? I mean, we as academics have come out with plenty of content that pretty much uses D&D as the primary, if not the sole, source of study, right? And then we take D&D and we apply these theories to create a greater discourse about role-playing games. And much like with my master's thesis and my master's work saying, because we can't apply everything from one group of people, which we've studied, to all groups, which is what led to my work with the disability community and demonstrating that no, players with disabilities get different things or more intense things out of role-playing games than, say, your typical player does. As an example, the community element for a player with disabilities is typically far greater. They're far more reliant on that than they are otherwise. But we have to ask ourselves, by using D&D, are we using the right metric? Are we using an RPG that stands in for all other RPGs? Can we do that? Well, we have academics like Adams, Bauman, Berman, Byers, Krakow, Cover, Jones, McKay, Stang, and Trammell, and more who have used D&D in their research, and myself included. While we have been studying RPGs since the 80s, though the field really didn't pick up until the 2000s, many scholars that choose to study them find themselves drawn towards D&D. And I don't think it is an unfair judgment that D&D makes up the majority of published TTRPG mass market history books. Say if we look at books about RPG history, they typically feature D&D, is what I mean. So are we losing something? Unintentionally perpetuating a machine utilized by companies like Hasbro to make millions of dollars? Well, with Hasbro's recent liquidation of Wizards of the Coast, we see a repeat of the corporate greed that shook the D&D world at the fall of 2nd edition. And yet, during the transition between 2nd and 3rd edition, D&D kept its problematic elements, such as race theory that D&D prescribes to. We don't have to support the problematic aspects of D&D. We can examine other tabletop role-playing games that function similarly, with player and GM relationships, and free ourselves of some of the problematic elements of D&D. But we need to consider more than just problematic themes. Other TTRPGs exist, such as Mouse Guard or Gumshoe, where players add more to the narrative than they do in a traditional D&D game. Gumshoe is more flexible with its narrative, whereas Mouse Guard has this session-oriented player-chosen goal system, where players write out and work toward goals of their choice each session. And there's guaranteed playtime set aside for this. The DM only dictates some of the goals, really one of the main session goals. And the players in Mouse Guard even have the power to insert NPCs in to help them achieve their goals. And this is just 2 examples. These 2 RPGs serve as alternatives that both demonstrate a difference in game design that D&D doesn't account for. This is much the same way that TTRPGs are unique from, say, video games or from LARP, live-action role-playing. Most of my experience certainly has been with D&D, and I'm not saying we should ban D&D, cancel it, or anything like that. However, I think as academics, we need to be aware that we are unintentionally perpetuating this machine. My channel is called D&Disability, and that's primarily because I play D&D and I work with players with disabilities, and I'm a member of the disabled community. So I feel that it is my duty to speak up about this. I took the name because it sounds good, and more importantly, it captures what I want: TTRPGs plus disability studies. So in short here, we have the power of choice as both academics and players. We can keep perpetuating D&D, or we can look at some alternatives that enact the same process. Regardless of what we do, though, we shouldn't just limit ourselves to one TTRPG. There are others out there, many others that we could play, and many others that need to be celebrated. So, if you haven't already, maybe examine those. Have a look. See if your theories about games or your thoughts about games apply not just to D&D, but apply to others as well. Alright, this has just been a short video this week. If you want to see more, feel free to like, share, subscribe, send the videos to a friend, feed the algorithm. Take it easy, y'all. I'll see you next week.